So the intro will go like this. And to play that part of the song, we're going to start out in a D minor. Now a D minor looks like this. We're going to have the index finger on the first fret of the E string. We're going to have the middle finger on the second fret of the G, and the ring finger right behind it on the second fret of the C. And we're going to strum that chord once all the way through. And then leaving the chord where it is, we're going to pick the C string, followed by picking the E string twice. Then we're going to strum again. Then pick the C string followed by the E string. And the whole time that chord just stays where it is. So playing this measure a little faster, we're going to strum, pick C, E twice, strum, pick C, and E once. Moving into the next measure, it's going to be a C5, and so that's going to be open G, open C, ring finger on the third fret of the E, and we're not actually going to strum the A string at all. So just those top three strings. And this time we are going to take the finger off while we're picking, and so we're going to follow the same pattern as we did in the last measure. So pick the C once and the E string twice. Play C5 once more, and then C string once and E string once. And let's go back and play this entire bar together very slowly. So again, starting with the D minor, I'm going to strum once, and then pick, strum again. I'm going to strum once, and measure 2. And moving into bar 2 now, we're already in this C5 position, so we're going to leave that finger here and just add the index finger to the second fret of the G. And we're just going to, again, strum those top three strings, the G string, C string, and E string. We're not going to play the A just yet. And the pattern after we strum is going to be a little bit different this time. So first, those top three strings. And then this time, we're just going to be going back and forth between the C string and the E string. So we're going to pick the C, and open E, back to C, add the ring finger back to the third fret of the E, and we're going to strum that one more time. And then lift off, pick the C string, followed by the E string. So let's put this measure right here together very slowly. And then here, we're going to go into a B flat major 7. That's going to be the ring finger on the third fret of the G string, middle finger on the second fret of the C, and index finger on the first fret of the E, and then just an open A. So we're going to strum the entire chord once. And then this time, the picking right after it is going to be very different. We're going to strum once, and then leaving the fingers where they are, we're just going to pick that E string. And with our pinky, we're just going to add it to the third fret of the A while leaving the other fingers there, and just pick that A string. So together. And then finishing out this measure, we're simply going to do that again. So strum without remove the pinky first and then strum. Pick the E string, which has the index finger on the first fret. And then add the pinky to the third fret of A and pick that as well. And that concludes the little intro of this song before we move into the section with the lyrics. And so let's go back to the beginning and let's play through all 4 measures together very slowly. And then of course we have those repeat signs, so we would simply play everything we just did again. But for now, let's keep going. Let's move on to the next bar. So this section is where we're actually playing the lyrics of the song. And so I'm going to play it slowly so you can hear it in context before we learn it. And so to begin with that section, we're going to again start in a D minor, which we learned just a second ago. We're going to strum that entire chord once. From here, we're going to remove the chord. We're going to pick the first fret of the A string and then follow that with just picking the open A string. Now what I like to do is add a little pull off. So that's where you just pick the first fret of A and then pull off the string with the index finger. You can do that as well, or you can just simply pick both. Moving on, we're going to pick the second fret of the C and the third fret of the E together, just those 2 strings in the middle. And then coming back down to the first fret of E, we're going to again pick that, followed by the open E. And again, you can do a little hammer off, or you can do a pull off here as well. So that concludes the first measure. Moving into the next measure, it's going to sound like this. Now here we actually have some hammer-ons instead of pull-offs, but you notice they're not on the tabs because some people find it easier to just pick each note as is, and then some people find it easier to do hammer-ons. So I left them off the tab so you get to choose where you like to add them and where you like to just pick them straightforward, so you can really tailor this arrangement to your own personal style. But I will tell you where I did add them in case you want to do exactly what I did. And so this part, we started out by picking the top 3 strings, the open G, C, and E. And as soon as we hit that E string after the strum, I hammer on with the index of the first fret. Now you can just pick this separate. It's a little bit easier for some, but I kind of like how the hammer-on sounds in that section. Now this next part, first fret to the third fret, I did a little slide. Now you can pick this individual, or you can just make it a little easier and slide. And then whichever method you choose, once we're here, we're already in the position we're supposed to be, because we're supposed to play another C5. So I'm going to play them both ways so you can hear it in context. So here's with hammer-ons and slides, and then picking everything straightforward. And you can even do a little mix of both. So whichever one you find most comfortable is probably the best one that for you to follow. Now going into the next measure, it's going to sound a bit different. Playing it slowly will sound like this. That's just that measure. So we're in the C5 position. We're going to just add that index finger to the second fret of the G, and we're going to strum just those top 3 strings. This is the same position we were in for measure 3 of the song. And then we're just going to keep going after that, pick the leaving chord there, pick 3rd fret of the E, A string, back to 3rd fret E, and then from here we're going to go into an F chord. And so F, in case you don't know, is index on the 1st fret of the E and middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. And here we're not actually going to strum the entire chord, we're just going to pick those top 3 strings again. So again, just G, C, and E. Just like that. We never actually play the A string. After that, going to lift off the fingers and pick the open E string, 2nd fret of C, and then we've reached the final measure on this screen. And so this will sound as follows. And here, we're going to start by picking the 3rd fret of the G and the 2nd fret of the C together. Then we're going to pick the open E twice, and while you're picking that, you're just going to leave those fingers there. We're not going to take them off just yet. Just come down to the open E and pick it twice. Add the index finger to the 1st fret of the E, and we're just going to pick that once. And then with this added finger, we've created this chord, and we're just going to pick the top 3 strings again. So 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. We're not going to play the A string. And so from here, we're just going to, and then here we'll just let it carry out through the rest of the measure. Let's go back to this beginning of this bar, so starting at measure 5, and we'll play through the entire song very slowly together. That's how to play the first part. To get the rest of the tutorial and all the tabs, head over to ukeondemand.com and subscribe below so you don't miss our upcoming fingerstyle tutorials. We'll see you next time.